after being out talking for years, I ended up once a few years ago in Norway. And I was going to do a seminar to something called Junior Achievement. I don't know, it's a pretty well-spread organization around the world. It's about young teenagers, basically in high school. They have a company, a fake company, but for real. So they sort of pretend they have a company. And they have a business plan, and they have a vice president, and they have all sorts of blah, 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 blah. And then, so they creatively play like they have a company in school. And sometimes I go to kickoff meetings for these people. And I go to these, teenagers are gathered in the room, and I go and I have a pep talk, and come on and do it, you can be brave, and blah, blah, blah. And once I was in Norway, in Oslo, I was invited to do a kickoff meeting, and there was like 600 teenagers coming from 20 different schools. We were sitting in a cinema thing downtown Oslo, and of course they have a major problem at the Junior Achievement because it's very politically correct. It's about young people, about entrepreneurship, about development, future, creativity, GDP, achievement, entrepreneurship. So they get a lot of important people, and important people are generally extremely boring, right? And so the guy who was going to start this kickoff meeting, he stood behind the shield, right? You need a shield when you're talking to the enemy. That's why they designed these podiums like this. So there can't be too much of a connection. They should be pretty, firm also. So that anyone will see that, okay, we're talking sausage, right? Hanging between the legs, not little tiny wiener. We're talking competence here. So, sorry, I have to say it. Anyway, so the guy who was going to do the first presentation on a kickoff meeting for 600 teenagers for Junior Achievement, he was a guy from the park, from the Stortinget. And I'm going to do it in a Norwegian manner now, because I think that the meta language is universal, goes all over the globe. He was doing this first presentation at the kickoff meeting for the teenagers, just about like this. Inom Kristelig Folkeparti så har vi tatt et policybeslut at det må være ungdommen som vi pleier til å ta til vare for å skape den typen av felles samtid som vi alle sammen pleier. Og det må være så. How long time do you think it took before 600 teenagers are sitting like in a trance? That's 15 minutes. And then he went on for another 20 minutes. So he completely wiped out the consciousness of the 600 people, and they're sitting and maybe drooling or something. So I get out there, I stand in there, I look at these teenagers, I look at the sign, and I'm thinking, wow, when I get out to the middle of the stage, I'm going to need to say something else than what I planned. Jesus, I wonder what that's going to be. That's a very interesting promenade, right? That's an interesting walk in everyday life. So I get out there, the middle of the stage, and I literally hear myself saying, okay, my name is Klaus, and I've come here to teach you to make out. Do you think I got a response? People go, whoa! And I say, I'm serious about it, because when you make out, when you kiss heavily, stuff might go wrong. You might hit your teeth with someone else's teeth, or your lips can get squeezed. You can get sweaty. You can lose some clothing here and there, and it can be the mascara can start running, and stuff can be very embarrassing. And then I tell them once when I was 16 and a half years old, when I got to make out once at the youth club, and I didn't do that a whole lot when I was 16 and a half years old, because I wanted at that time to look like a rock star we had in Sweden called Joey Tempest. It was a taken name, right? He wasn't born Tempest, right? Tempest. But he had long curly hair and leather pants and giant package, and he was fantastic. And I started to grow the hair easier. And the problem is that normal hair grows downwards, right? That's a pretty common way for hair to grow. This kind of hair don't do that. No. It grows like this. And when it comes into the middle, it starts to expand. So I look like a giant poodle. And also I wanted to have Levi jeans, but we couldn't afford it. We went to an outlet store and bought Canard jeans. That means duck. I had duck jeans and poodle hair. I did not get to make out a whole lot when I was 16 years old. So when I finally did that, it was a party! We were standing under the stairs in the youth club and just making out and I was sweating, she was sweating, and life was wonderful. I felt like champagne bubbles all over that's when I farted. That's very embarrassing. I'm standing there and just and what can I do? I can't blame someone else. I can't say someone else must have gone under the stairs. And I can't ignore it. It's like a thick gas, that you have to scrape off the wall. So I'm smoked, right? So I tell these teenagers when I am in Oslo at this conference, that it's because we've heard stories like that, or we've experienced that. That's why we're not making out with each other. That's why instead we're sitting in park benches, holding hands, and just gently kiss and say, "You look very fine. Shall we take a little walk and hold hands and stroll? And maybe drink a cup of tea." Drink a cup of tea. You're 16 and a half years old. Your whole body is saying, "I want to have sex!" So this happened 6 years ago here. This event in Norway. And I came back and I thought that, this metaphor that came up here, I thought I was going to have this metaphor and carry it and leave it, but it's still with me. I still carry this metaphor because the metaphor that I get out of this, making out business, is that when you make out and your teeth get, hit each other and the lips get squeezed and you get sweaty, that is where life is unpractical. That's where life where you don't really have control. That's where it can get embarrassing. And I'm thinking that as a metaphor for life, that is where I want to be. I want to be there in life where it's unpractical, where I don't really know what's going to happen, where it's exciting and a little bit frightening. And I'm thinking most of us, we're aware of that is where life actually happens. Life doesn't happen in the controlled areas. And when you and I are asked if we're 70 years old, sitting in our couch at home, and if I've been asked to tell someone what my life was about, if someone asks, "Klaus, tell me, what has your life been about?" I'm not going to be sitting there talking about all the practical times in my life. When I was a single guy living in downtown Stockholm and the dishwasher was working and everything was practical. Right? That's not what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about when my kids were born and when someone died and where life was like champagne or like a grave. I'm going to be talking about those moments. And I'm here to, for 1 little hour in your life, being a drip in the jar to remind you about what life is for you, both professionally and personally.